For those of you who don't know me, I'm Barrows, JBarrow's training. I've been doing sales training for companies like Salesforce, LinkedIn, and Box, and I am super excited today because this is going to be the first time that I am on stage with a new employee of mine, because I finally broke down and realized I can't do this all myself, so I'd like to introduce Ingram up on stage here. We're going to say hi to everybody.
So if you're not familiar with me, my name is Morgan J. Ingram. Previously was an SDR for a year, and was an SDR manager. Now I've been working for John for about 6 months now. But before we go into the context of our conversation, our topic today, I want to get a pulse of the room. One question first is, how many managers and leaders are in the room? Awesome. And then how many individual contributors are in the room? But the reason we're asking that question is because we're going to be diving into different components of management and leadership, and also from an individual contributor standpoint. So John's going to be coming from a leadership standpoint, and I'm going to be coming from an execution and rep standpoint.
Yeah, so we're going to try to have some fun with this. What we're going to do is, I hired Morgan for a few reasons here. One is to help me scale and eventually get off an airplane so I can spend some time with my family one of these days. And but the other two more important. But the other two ones are to help execute using my training so that we can sell more, but also make sure that this training still works, right? Because I don't ever want to be the trainer that says, 30 years ago when I was selling type of crap. And also, though, I obviously work with a lot of millennials, right? So I'm a Gen Xer, I'm 42. And a huge part of my audience is working with younger kids, helping them getting their feet wet in sales, and also most of them are SDRs and BDRs, that type of thing. So, and what I'm noticing with a lot of the managers that I work with is that, where's the little clicker? Oh, there we go. There's this generational divide that everybody keeps talking about. Oh, millennials, we got problems with it. And a lot of my generation have a hard time connecting with them. So I figured, I got to hire somebody. I'm not going to hire somebody with my experience and my background because that's not any fun. So I decided Morgan, and I think Ralph mentioned it, because of his personal brands. Morgan's been working, you started the SDR Chronicles how long ago?
In 2016.
2016, and that's where he hit my radar. So for those of y'all who don't think personal branding is an important thing, you might want to pay attention because he hit my radar with, okay, I'm doing these chronicles, and then all of a sudden when he got promoted to be a manager, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I got promoted to be manager, kind of did this video of like, hey, what I learned over the years, whatever, and it really resonated with me. And at first, that was the first time I was like, you know what, I can finally see hiring somebody. And instead of putting on a job interview or something like that, I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna go after this kid. And it was actually at Ranger last year, right? Yep. All right, cool. So anyways, so those three pieces, right? Help me scale, help execute and evolve, but also learn how to communicate better. And we keep coming back to this as we're working on this, to solve these problems and address this challenge. We keep coming back to this one theme that I think is going to be the background of what we're going to be talking about today, which is structure. Right? And I think this is the answer to a lot of problems. Now, just to give you a little context on this one. So look, I'm 42. A lot of us, Gen Xers. When we were, I don't know about y'all, but some of y'all know, when I was growing up, if I was bored in the house, my mom was like, "Get out of the house. Like, go figure it out. Go play in the street. Just be home by 7. Just be home by 8. Be home by dinner. Whatever it is, right?" So I went out on the street. I broke stuff. I lit stuff on fire. I figured things out, right? But what I'm noticing now is kids, and I got my daughter. She's 7. And I can see it. That every minute of these kids' lives is structured, right? So they go to school from this hour to this hour. Then they have soccer practice from this hour to this hour. Then they get to play with their iPad for 30 minutes. And then they get this. So every minute of their lives is structured. And then they get out in the real world, and they got managers like me saying, "Figure it out." Like, what do you mean, figure it out? Like, tell me what to do, right? And the knee-jerk reaction is, here's a script. Here's a script, here's a template. And this is why we have SDRs cranking out template emails with no thought into them. It's no different than like a Marketo or Eloquent or anything like that. We're making generic-ass cold calls, we're reading the script, we're just asking banned questions and droning through demos because that's the gut. And if you give me a script when I was 22 years old, I read the script. And so instead of that, which I don't think is the answer at all, the answer is structure. And again, as a quick example here, Mark, you want to tell me what happened the first couple months we were working together?
Yeah, so the first couple of months, John put me through the gauntlet and flew out to Boston where he's at. And first of all, side note, I despise going to Boston every single time because I'm from Atlanta. And if you guys watch sports, the Atlanta Falcons, I gotta see those Patriots fans at the airport. I can't do it, it makes me cute. So went there, hung out with John and really tried to understand the the different things that were going on. So we went to Dreamforce in San Francisco. That was crazy. It was my first time in San Francisco and my first time at Dreamforce. So it was straight madness. And then next, we're going to every single session with John for a month and a half. So I'm on a plane, just going to the con. And then John's like, all right, go back to Atlanta. Here's a couple homework assignments. See ya. So I did these homework assignments in about 3 to 4 days. And then I realized something was off. Something was wrong. And I thought back to my previous job, and I had structure. I had a process. I knew what I was going to do every single day. I didn't come into work confused. And I work remote, I'm working from home, and I was lost, I was confused. So John's like, hey, how's everything going? And I was like, honestly, I feel a little off. I don't know what's going on. And it was because I didn't have that foundational structure. So John's like, okay, do this for 30 minutes every single day, do this for an hour, do this for an hour, do this for an hour, and adjust it in your schedule works for you. So I created a foundation in my structure, on my calendar, like 30 minutes, I'm gonna make these calls, in an hour, I'm gonna do this prospecting, 2 hours, I'm gonna listen to John's content, and these 2 hours, I'm gonna find triggers. And from that, I felt way more comfortable. So John called me the next week, he's like, how do you feel? It's like, I feel fantastic. So what we're trying to go into here is, how can you create that foundational structure for yourself to be successful?
Exactly, and also to execute, right? And so what we're going to go through here is kind of walking through, actually, my training to a certain degree, bless you. So my training, and this is what we train organizations to, again, Salesforce, all these different companies, we train them on this process, and it's a nice transition from Ralph's discussion on prospecting, because this is how we look at prospecting, right? So first of all, everybody knows it starts with the ICP, right? The ideal customer profile. But the problem is most companies, and at least in my experience, and all the ones that I work with, they have a real weak ICP, right? It's like, yeah, okay, and it's usually based on very basic demographic information, like, oh, between 200 and 500 employees in these industries and whatever, right? And what they do is they give it to the rep. They're like, okay, here's the type of clients we sell to. And then here's your list of numbers, make phone calls. So, okay, right? And so instead of that, I don't believe that's the right approach. That's giving them a script, here it is, right? So instead of that, what we did was I mapped out the structure of, hey, this is how we look at our clients here at JBarrow. It's like, this is the type of clients, and here's some nuances. And then within that structure, I was Morgan, all right, now go do some homework. And what did you end up doing?
Yeah, so within that structure, first off, we had a whiteboard session at John's house to go over, hey, like, this is our ICP, this is what I've seen across the years, and these are some clients and customers, same profiles that you should be going after from a prospecting initiative standpoint. And so from there, I was like, okay, there's more things that I need to go do. So John gave me an assignment to go clean the database from all the customers and then insert that inside of Salesforce, which is a super mundane task, and it's like, why am I doing this? But what I came to realize from that is I was learning along the way. I started seeing trends. I started seeing commonalities. And so now when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm looking at Hour, I'm looking at Crunchbase, I see companies that resonate with our profile, so I'm 100% confident when I'm reaching out to these accounts.
Exactly. And we start to see these things like their ICP is a specific thing, where they're at this inflection point in their business and that type of stuff. And now he has a much better understanding. So when he makes that phone call, it's like, yup, this is where we fit. Or, that's probably not a great fit for us, right? So there's that. And then we hit obviously the persona-based stuff. And I'll tell you right, again, I'm going to be very generous here and say 50% of the clients that I work with have a mapped out persona of who they're going after. But if they do, I'm not even going to ask who raised hands on that one. If they do, it's usually a one-pager with a picture of somebody like, here's Bill, and Bill's a CTO, and Bill cares about technology, and that type of thing. And it's like, okay, thanks. And it's like, here, Morgan, here's the CTO, this is what they do. And, okay, hi CTO, tell me about your job. You're in technology? And I'll prove this, by the way, because I ask this question all the time, and just people don't understand, and I'll say I'll put myself in this bucket, I didn't know this answer. Anybody know the difference between a CTO and a CIO? Somebody go ask your team what's the difference between a CTO and a CIO. See how many people actually can articulate the difference. It's amazing to me how many kids sell into technology, but literally don't know the difference between a CTO and a CIO. And just for those of you who are wondering, internal, external. CIO is internal systems, how the company runs. CTO is what they bring to market, all right? But without understanding that, I'm going to think CTO, CIO, I'm going to call it technology. So we mapped this out, and we said, all right, here's the 3 profiles, right? We got SDR managers, which Morgan knows like the back of his hand, because that's what he was. And then there was VPs of sales, which is really kind of what I am. And then there was VPs of enablement. So with that, saying, okay, Morgan, these are our personas, what'd you end up doing?
Yeah, so as John was saying, understood sales development leaders. I'm in that world. I get it. I was there. VP sales. I can get context from John. But as I was at Dreamforce, John would introduce me to sales enablement leaders, and I was like, I don't know what to ask the people. I don't even know what they can do. I was lost. I was like, I don't know. So I thought, okay, so how can I get the context information from people that could give me that context of like, what do I need to do moving forward? So what I did is I went on LinkedIn. And I just asked a question like, hey guys, I'm new in my role with John Barrows. I have no idea what sales enablement means. Can you guys connect me with some sales enablement leaders? And I got like tons and tons of comments. People direct message me, people email me and said, connect with this person, connect with this person. And I talked to like 30, 50 people about sales enablement. So I have a whole Evernote of all the different priorities, what they care about, what they're doing in their role, where they see sales enablement going. And I feel more confident talking to these people. Now, it's not the same as talking to a sales development leader, but I do have some context and I have some information of value I can at least bring to the conversation when I'm emailing them and calling them.
Exactly. And like these documents that you see up there, like I didn't give those to Morgan. Morgan came up with those and gave those to me, and I came and gave feedback like, yeah, actually, I was learning something. I'm like, I'm doing pretty good insights here. And so, but again, it's not like, hey, here, spoon feed this, make these phone calls to these people. And so now he gets on the phone with VP enablement or something like that. You can at least hold your own, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I went, Googled it, I searched it, I looked at different blog posts, and that gave me the context to have that information. And then John came on top of that to be like, okay, some edits, maybe a little edits here, but it's pretty much like, hey, we're good to go.
Yeah, so here's an example. Most sales reps, they ask, like, look, I've always been a priority-based seller, right? Like, if you can't align your solution one or two of the top priorities of the executives, like, good luck selling anything, right? But and I'll say this, up until I was about 35 years old, the way I used to get to that would be like saying stuff like, so tell me about your priorities, right? And I would ask that very general question or make that very general statement, and I would get very general answers, like, right? And so, but now you walk in with some context around this and say, hey, we're typically working with VPs of enablement who are moving into 2018, and they're telling us their top priorities are X, Y, and Z. Are those yours by any chance? Even if they're not, the fact that you show you know their world a little bit tends to open up the conversation a little bit more. You don't have to be that industry expert. You just have to know enough to be able to ask those better questions and come up with that better messaging, right? So then, it's like, okay, now we got the ICP and we got the personas, now we gotta look at the triggers, right? So Rob talked about personalization, right? And going on somebody's website looking for stuff. But again, the mistake a lot of companies I come across make are like, yeah, look for triggers, look for things to make connections about. And reps will go, okay. And they just, yeah, they're all over the place with what they're looking for, right? So what I recommend is pick 5 things. Like figure out 5 things that happen within businesses that reps can look at a website and say, okay, do they have this, or this? And if they do, great. If they don't, I'm not going to try to boil the ocean here. I'm going to move on to find somebody else. All right. So what were some of the triggers that you found? Like after looking at the clients and looking at the personas, what were some of the things that you saw that were like, ooh, okay, I can hit. And by the way, with the idea of getting him ramped soon, right? What were some of those things that we figured out? What you figured out?
Yeah. So the number one for me was promotions. Promotion to SDR manager, or promotion to director of sales development, or it could have been VP of sales development. I knew that that person who was getting promoted was going to be asked to do a lot because I've talked to a lot of leaders, done a ton of interviews, and I know what's going to happen when that person gets hired and promoted. So I went, okay, boom, I need to go in there and have a message that, hey, congrats on your promotion, here's ways that we can help, and that helped me gain a lot of traction in my pipeline. The next thing that I did is I looked at growth and hiring. So what I do is I like to listen on social media, social selling, but I like to think of a social listening. There's context and information out there that you need to provide value to talk about. So I would type in hiring SDRs, I type in content on the tab for LinkedIn, and I go to latest, and I would look everyone up who's looking hiring for SDRs, and I screenshot that and I send an email. So a ton of low-hanging fruit there for me. That got me a lot of pipeline generation as well. And then also LinkedIn description. So most people don't have it, some people do. And they may say, hey, these are the things I'm working on for Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. These are also how many people I'm looking to hire, and I'm also in charge of the training process. So again, I would screenshot that, highlight that, and I would talk about how JBarrow sales training can help with those initiatives. Those 3 really helped me along the way. Another 2 on there that we're currently working on, and John and I have talked about, is social media presence. So you guys heard from Ralph's talk, I built my brand through creating a YouTube channel, creating a podcast, and putting out content daily for the past 3 years on LinkedIn. So I understand what that's done for me. It helped me when I was an SDR to get a lot of opportunities, helped me as a manager to pass opportunities for my AEs and my SDRs. So I'm going to look at different SDRs, I'm going to look at different AEs. Are they even building their social brand presence at all? Because I know how to do that and I know what results come from that. And also from a company standpoint, are they posting content? Are they getting involved? And are they interacting with their community and providing value that makes people want to go to their website? So those are things that we're currently working on with messaging from a messaging standpoint to help people get better.
And that's where I think we can work where like we identify like there's other things like growth and I mean, you know, product launches and those type of things that I can make connections to with my training. But because I wanted to try to get Morgan off on the right foot and start ramping fast and having some quick wins, we said, okay, well, what are you comfortable with, right? And we started looking at those triggers. And it's because now the talk track is a lot easier, right? And actually, just to give a little plug here, when did you close your first deal?
December.
That was how many months in? 3 months in. So, kid who's never closed a deal in his life as an SDR within 3 months closed the deal. So I just want to give him a nice little thank you. And that's no small feat, right? I mean, so and again, because he was able, and I didn't get on those calls, by the way. I didn't get on those calls to help close that client. It was just, here's the talk track, you know, here's the training, he's taking the training, right? A lot of people don't even use their own dog food, by the way, or eat their own dog food when they're using their own technology. Cracks me up in companies like the reps are, you know, they're selling this cool technology thing and they don't even use it to actually sell. You can't do that. Anyways, so that's what we're playing around with those. So now we got the personas, we got the triggers, all this, and now we got to come up with messaging, right? And again, this is the mistake a lot of marketers do, is they come up with that messaging and they're like, all right, sales, here you go. And there is a huge difference between sales messaging and marketing messaging, right? Marketing messaging, elevator pitches, those type of things, whatever, you know, which is fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, my background is marketing, that's my degree, and I have a healthy respect for it. But that is not, like, when I am a sales rep, I need, like, what do I say when somebody picks up that phone, right? What are the words that come out of my mouth? And so we talk about attention grabbers, like, what can you say in the first 5 to 15 seconds? And we have now triggers, and we talk about messaging matrices, right? Like, all right, now we got the 4 or 5 triggers, and we got the personas. What aspects of our solution actually align with those things, right? And I'm a big proponent here of looking at, this is where marketing can hit a home run for sales, is the case studies. That's the best messaging you have out there from a marketing standpoint. The results you drive for your customers are hands down the best messaging that you have. And that's your #1 differentiator, by the way, because most of us are in a really noisy industry where it's really tough to crack through the noise, specifically on the front end of the prospecting. Because look, if I'm one of your competitors, I can make myself sound exactly like yours, even if it's not, right? Just to get that meeting. When in the middle of the sales process is when the differentiators come up, but I can pretty much say whatever I want to get your attention, right? So that's why I like, oh, we're better, faster, cheaper, leading provider of, like, shut up, make it not. Like, do me a favor, go to 100 websites, find me one company that's not the leading provider of something. I challenge you, right? So, but the biggest differentiator you have is the results you drive for your customers. So stuff like, hey, sales loft, you know, 100%. That's what JBarrow's training does. We don't do sales training consulting for Fortune 500 companies that guarantees you the results you're looking for every stage of the sales process. That's not what we do, okay? We allow companies to increase 35% in book calls and 59% increase in qualified leads pushing through that pipeline. That's what we do. So with that guidance and that structure, what you end up doing, Morgan?
So this right here, what you're looking at, is an Excel spreadsheet that I came up as my messaging matrix for what I'm going to talk about a little bit later, what I plugged into my sales off cadence. So from this point, I went and used all the priorities, all the triggers, all the ICP, and came up with this messaging on my own. So all the black text is what I came up with and what I drew up, and also the priorities and also the triggers that are in there as well, and also what product or what service we're going to provide for those individuals. And John in the red came in and added some extra context, but he didn't change what I had, so that I could do different variations and A/B tests, but it's really going to work.
And it was, again, I've been giving this messaging, I say, come up with it, man, because you need to own it. You need to own this messaging, so when you make those phone calls, when you send those emails, it's you, right? It's not me. So then, all right, now we got all this stuff. Now we got the structure of a good email and the structure of a good voicemail, right? And this is the stuff in training. Why you might email, a lot of you know it. Some people know it's the bash of email, whatever it is. Long story short, about you, about them, call to action, right? Or, I'm sorry, about them, about you, call to action. 2 scrolls on an iPhone, whatever. And then the winning call, which is powerful intro, the reason for your call, that time. So this is a structure, again, not a script on this stuff. And so Morgan took all this stuff, and then what you end up doing on that?
So these 3 documents right here I made them in Google Docs, and I created 5 messages for the 3 main personas that I'm going after. So these are going to be plugged into the cadence so that I can utilize at scale. And also when I do personalization, I can add that context of the value add in there, so I don't have to redo every single thing. It's plug and play. I can mess around with it, and I can put the right piece of the puzzle when I'm reaching out to those individuals. And as you see on the side, and as you see in the documents, there's not a lot of red here, so I didn't get an F. So I passed. And so these are the messages that we use today.
Yeah, and a few edits again, right? And this is how you can do, people talk about personalization at scale. I wish people would stop talking about personalization at scale. I think that's an oxymoron. You can't personalize at scale. You can target at scale, okay? But if you really want to talk about personalization at scale, you can do it this way. Look, pick those 5 triggers, open up a new office, launch a new product, merger and acquisition, whatever it is. You can come up with messaging around those triggers, because every time somebody goes through a merger and acquisition, for example, you can kind of say the same thing, right? So what you can do is you can then create merger and acquisition templates, right? Email templates, and then you listen for those merger and acquisitions on your top accounts and those type of things. And when you hear that merger and acquisition, you open up that template, scrub it up, add some flavor to it, then send it out. And then you can split test that in a tool like whatever, right? And we can start to figure out whether or not that works. So now we got all this stuff, right? So check it out. We got the ICP, we got the persona stuff that Morgan came up with. We got the structure of a good email, the structure of a good voicemail. We got the messaging matrix here. So we got this whole palette of information, all right? And now, instead of pressing play like a robot, Morgan can be an artist, right? So one of my favorite artists of all time here, Bob Ross. But now, Morgan, why don't you tell them how you're Bob Ross with sales off, actually.
So as you see right here, here's the sales off Canvas I was alluding to earlier. And as you see, there's an open rate, 64%, 8% reply rate. And if you see, I can send a good amount of emails. But the structure is all there. This first email is all based on them, their personas, their priorities, and also what they're doing within their organizations. And so being able to do that, they're opening it, they're responding, and they're good responses, and it's moving me in the right direction. And that's what we're doing for, again, VP of Sales, Sales Development Leaders, and Enablement, and doing that at scale.
And now it's plug and play. Now it's instead of pressing play, like so many reps are doing right now, with that, and that's what really aggravates me. We're speaking of Sales Loft next week, and I'm gonna tear into the audience here about stop using Sales Loft the wrong way. Like stop using Outreach.io and Telegraph and Yesware and Sales Loft the wrong way. Sales reps they're supposed to be sales efficiency tools, but sales reps are using sales automation tools. And all they're doing is they're taking a bunch of template craft emails that marketing gives them, they're putting them in, they're pressing play, and they're droning. You all know when you're on a cadence these days, right? Anybody know when you're on cadence number 3? It's like, hey, we're the leading provider of. Hey, did you get my first email? Hey, bubbling this one up to the top. Hey, why aren't you responding to me? And then the inevitable breakup email of 1, 2, or 3 stuck under a rock or whatever. It's getting chased by an alligator bullshit. So, like, you know you're on that cadence. And think about the job satisfaction of a kid going through that. Think about the job satisfaction of a kid doing this. I heard an incredible stat the other night. Last night, I was at a VP of Sales forum, and Bridge Group was hosting a Sally, and she said that the average, they did a bunch of information on SDRs who got promoted to AEs, okay? And if an SDR got promoted to an AE in around 6 months or less, the failure rate was 50%. 50% failure rate on that. If the SDR stayed 18 months, the failure rate to an AE, 6%. You know why? But all these kids, they're like, oh, I want to get promoted. I was like, in 6 months, like, when can I get promoted, right? Well, you know why that is? It's because they're doing this. I don't know about you. After 6 months of doing this, I want to do something different too. But if you're involving them and you're educating and they're learning, and the other part of this is business acumen is sorely missing in education when it comes to, look, we finally got to the point where sales is somewhat of a respected profession, because now there's over 4,132 colleges in the United States of America. You get a degree finally in sales, about 70 of them. And that's a lot bigger than it was just 2 years ago. So it's finally becoming this profession. So we teach process, we teach structure, we teach technique, but what we don't teach is business acumen. So what I'm trying to do is facilitate that, not by telling them, hey, these are people, but go do some homework. Go do some homework and figure this out, all right? So with that, just some takeaways here. Structure versus scripts. Please stop using scripts. Use structure. And I talk about every aspect of your business here. Every aspect of your business. I say, I'm talking about Gen Xers and millennials, but I wrote a post a little while ago called, look, executives like children. They need structure. They do. Think about it. Anybody ever gone on a ride-along with their executive, like their VP or something like that? Right, and had no structure to that call? How long does it take for your VP to take over that conversation? Yeah, y'all know it, right? It's like about 30 seconds into an unstructured conversation, the VP is like, anyways, right? Now it's my meeting, right? But if you say, hey boss, here's what the agenda is for the call, here's what my goals are for the call, here's where I'm gonna intro this and then I'm gonna send it over to you, and then you're gonna do this, guess what? The executive sits there and waits their turn, right? Structure. So engage in the process, bring them into the process. Don't just hand it to them, get them involved, help them understand where this stuff is coming from. Target your audience. So, you know, you can, as you target, less is more, right? Because actually, Mario, how previously, what were you putting into Sales Loft on a regular basis before you came to work over here?
50 to 60 contacts.
And what was the conversion ratio there?
3.2%, 3.5%.
Now, what are you putting on a daily basis?
15 to 20 contacts.
And what's your conversion ratio?
8.0, 8.4.
That's a big difference. It doesn't sound like a big difference, but 5 percentage points on a conversion ratio, that's a massive difference. And by the way, we're not pissing off the other 140 accounts that isn't responding on those previous ones. You know what I mean? Conversion ratios matter, okay? And just last but not least, apply, track, test, and evolve. Like apply this stuff, use a tool like Sales Loft, Outreach, whatever, track it, and then see what's working and what's not, and then evolve, and tweak, and split test, all right? So that's pretty much, you know, anything else you wanted to drop on everybody here, Morgan?
Yeah, so one last question is, who in the room right now has a streamlined process or one sheeter for their SDR to AE communication? Yeah,
good for you guys.
So really think about this. So you have a younger rep, maybe 22, 23, 24, 25 years old, and they're having to manage senior account executive with a great amount of experience. Why is there no communication or process or one sheeter to make sure that every single week they're aligned and that they're doing the right things? So really think about that as a takeaway for this talk.
If there's one thing you do coming out of this, right, is literally that SDR relationship with the AE, give that SDR a chance. Tell them, like, give them a one-pager on how to manage that relationship. Because look, if I had an SDR and as an AE, I'd be like, nah, I want you to do it this way. No, put some structure to it. Give them a chance, or else they're going to get their ass whooped and they're going to hate what they're doing. I've said it before, SDRs is the hardest job in sales, period. Because not only the question of how much value, first of all, you're doing the grunt work with everybody nobody else wants to do. Second of all, how much value do you need to put into this equation, right? Because if you add too much, then it takes away from the AE. If you don't add enough, then I don't see anything going on for you, right? But then all of a sudden, you got the 1 to 3 SDR to AE relationship. If you got 3 AEs that you're working with, you got 3 different personalities, 3 different likes and dislikes. Some AEs are like, look, give me a meeting with a janitor, I don't give a shit. Others are like, I want to qualify it all the way, and if there's no opportunity and there's no budget, then I don't want to talk to them. Others are like, look, call the executives, call everybody over there, don't touch my C-level executives, I only want you to do the groundswell. So you got some poor 22, 23-year-old kid going, oh, okay, to these 3 AEs who are telling like, pap, do this. The answer, ladies and gentlemen, destruction. All right? Thank y'all very much for your time.